I died alone in my penthouse, and I saw what no human should ever see. My name is Michael. Last year, I died for 7 minutes, and what I saw changed everything. My stage, my cage. I have millions of fans, sold-out tours, flashing lights, cameras, champagne and crystal glasses, yet inside, I am empty, hollow, hungry for something I could never name. People think they know me. They see the glittering parties, the expensive cars, the constant stream of women and applause. They see the Instagram posts, the magazine covers, the endless selfies with smiles too perfect to be real. But nobody sees the late nights when I stare at the ceiling, numb, listening to the city hum beneath my penthouse balcony. That night was no different, or so I thought. I had been at a Hollywood Hills party, champagne flowing, music pounding like my own heartbeat, flashing lights bouncing off gold-plated walls, perfume and alcohol mixed in the air. I laughed, I flirted, I danced, I took another shot, and another. My body was screaming at me to stop, but I ignored it. I always ignored it. I remember stepping onto my balcony. The city sprawled below, like a glittering ocean. I felt a sharp twist in my chest, a pressure that stole my breath. I leaned against the railing, my vision blurring, neon lights melting into darkness. I thought it was just exhaustion, just another hangover, but it was not. Within seconds, the world tilted, the noise faded, and I realized I could not move. My heart, it was not beating right. Fear gripped me, raw and cold, like a hand around my throat. I tried to call out, but no sound came. The city lights mocked me, distant and meaningless. Everything I had chased, all the parties, the fame, the flings, it was nothing. I understood something terrifying in that moment. Death does not ask if you are ready. It does not care if you have millions of fans, sold-out shows, or a face everyone wants to see. It only asks if your soul is ready, and mine was not. Then, everything went black. I was falling, not in the air, not in space, but somewhere else. Somewhere I could feel, yet could not name. Cold, endless, silent. And in that silence, I heard a voice. Not human, not echoing from the city below, but from somewhere beyond. And I knew I was about to see things no one alive has seen. I grew up in Los Angeles, but not the glitzy part people imagine. I remember cracked sidewalks, graffiti walls, the smell of street tacos on hot afternoons. Music was my escape. I learned early that if I could sing, people would listen, and listen they did. By my 20s, the city was mine. Every rooftop, every club, every radio station knew my name. I became a brand before I even understood what that meant. Limousines waiting outside my shows, hotel suites with panoramic views of the skyline, champagne in the hands of strangers who called me legend. I smiled, I laughed, I played the part perfectly. Parties were endless, private jets, after-hours clubs, flashing cameras, women who wanted the image of me more than me. I danced on tables, I drank until I could not see straight. I flirted without restraint, knowing I could walk away before anyone got too close. I wore my charm like armor, and it worked, until it did not. I had everything a man could dream of, yet every morning felt heavy. The sun would pierce my penthouse windows, and I would lie there, surrounded by empty bottles, the echo of last night's music still in my ears, feeling nothing. I was alone even when people were around, surrounded by admiration, but no one saw me, not really. Fans screamed when I appeared on stage. They screamed when I stepped out in a tailored suit. They screamed when I smiled. I loved it. The noise, the attention, it filled a void for a while. But back in the suite, away from the cameras, I faced the truth. I was chasing shadows. Fame was a mirror, reflecting only what I wanted others to see, not who I was. I drank to forget. I partied to escape. I flirted because intimacy scared me. I avoided connection at all costs, pretending my life was perfect. Every magazine cover, every sold-out tour, every glittering award was a bandage over a wound I refused to acknowledge. People thought they knew Michael Lawson. They saw the luxury cars, the designer clothes, the Hollywood Hills views. They did not see the quiet moments at 3 a.m., staring at my reflection in the bathroom mirror, wondering if I had wasted it all, and if I would ever matter beyond the noise and the lights. That night, the night before it all ended, I was leaving another party, music pounding in my ears, a hangover already forming, champagne still on my breath. The city sprawled beneath me indifferent. I laughed at myself, at life, at everything. I had no idea that in a matter of minutes, the lights, the fame, the noise, none of it would matter at all, and that is when it happened. The night was alive. Neon lights sliced through the Hollywood mist, like not. The streets below pulsed with music, engines, laughter, and I was at the center, untouchable, invincible. I had my crew, my bodyguard, a cluster of friends who wanted to be seen with me, and a handful of strangers who wanted to be closer. I was Michael Lawson, the city's golden boy. I drank, always drank, vodka, tequila, champagne. It did not matter. It burned down my throat and warmed the empty place inside me, but only for a moment. I chased that warmth, over and over. One more drink, one more laugh, one more girl. I flirted shamelessly, knowing I would never see them again. It was easier that way. Intimacy was dangerous, so was honesty. The club was alive with flashing lights. My chest thumped, not just from the music, but from adrenaline, from the thrill of being adored. I danced on a small stage, a bottle in hand, fans screaming below. Their cheers felt like fuel, until they did not. I looked at their faces, half hysterical, half starstruck, and realized I did not care about them. Not really. Somewhere in the corner, a mirror reflected my face back at me. Perfect hair, perfect smile, perfect persona, but I knew it was a lie. Behind those eyes, exhaustion. Behind that smile, hollow. Behind the laughter, dread. I pushed it aside and took another shot. Another. The music pounded, my heart raced, and I ignored the warning signs my body screamed at me. I left the club on my own, stepping into the warm night air. The streets smelled of gasoline and fast food, of perfume and regret. I laughed at myself, walking alone, swaying slightly, the city lights blurring. My penthouse awaited. Another night, another bottle, another illusion of control. But that night, something was different. I felt it as I unlocked the door, a tightness in my chest, a lurch in my stomach. I told myself it was just the hangover, just the stress, just the life I had built. But deep down I knew it was more. My body had been warning. I had ignored it for years. I poured a drink, lifted it to my lips and froze. A sharp, jagged pain shot through my chest. My vision tunneled. The music, the lights, the city, all of it slipped away. I stumbled, clutching the marble counter, my breath shallow, rapid. Fear clawed its way through me. Not the fear of losing fame, not the fear of public judgment, the fear of nothingness. And then, darkness. I was falling, but this was no ordinary fall. This was the end, or so I thought. I collapsed on the cold marble floor of my penthouse. The glass in my hand shattered, spraying red liquid across the tiles. Pain ripped through my chest, sharp, relentless, like a firestorm inside my ribcage. My heart, it was not beating like it should. My breath came in short, jagged gasps, and the room tilted, spinning in ways that no human should experience. I tried to call out, my voice caught in my throat. I thrashed, clawed at the counter, at the walls, at nothing. The city below roared, oblivious, distant, irrelevant. I was alone, completely alone. The music from the party, the laughter, the lights, the fame, they all dissolved into a thick, suffocating silence. Time became meaningless. Seconds stretched, then snapped. My body trembled. I could feel every pulse, every shard of glass cutting into my palm, the sting of alcohol on the wounds, the metallic taste of blood in my mouth. Panic clawed at me, icy and unrelenting. I realized something horrifying. I might die here now alone. I thought of my life. Every party, every woman, every applause, every magazine cover. It was nothing. Hollow, meaningless, a fleeting shadow that would vanish the moment I stopped breathing. I had chased pleasure, fame, validation, and here I was, faced with the truth. I had nothing of substance, nothing eternal. My vision narrowed. The skyline of Los Angeles blurred into streaks of light, then vanished entirely. My body felt heavy, yet somehow weightless. The floor beneath me fell away. The air grew cold, impossibly cold, searing into my bone. Shadows stretched unnaturally across the walls, moving without reason, twisting, whispering. I could hear them, faint murmurs I could not place, voices of 1,000 regrets, 1,000 sins. Fear gripped me tighter than anything I had ever known. I saw flashes, images of my life, distorted and cruel, faces of strangers I had used and discarded, friends I had ignored, lovers I had betrayed. A searing truth burned in my chest. This was not just my body dying. This was my soul standing before judgment. I clawed at the floor, screamed into the emptiness, willing my heart to beat, willing my lungs to draw breath, but the sensation of falling, of leaving my body, of slipping into something I could not name, it was unstoppable. My consciousness fractured. One moment, I was Michael Lawson, pop star king of the city. The next, I was nothing. And then I felt it, a pull, not physical, not wind or gravity, but spiritual, a force, ancient and immense, tugging me away from the pain, away from the flesh. My vision sharp, colors more vivid than neon, light brighter than any stage spotlight, and behind the light, darkness, not empty darkness, a darkness that breathed, that waited, that hungered. I felt its weight pressing against my soul, whispering terror into my bone. I screamed, though no sound escaped. I wanted to run, yet I could not. The darkness showed me glimpses of torment, faces contorted, screams without sound, souls burning in agony, heat, suffocating, unbearable. I understood then, without question, hell is real, not metaphor, not myth, real, and I was dangerously close to it. Then, in the opposite direction, a light, unlike any I had ever seen, not white, not gold, not any color I knew, but something alive, warm, inviting, safe. I felt it reach for me. The darkness fought back, clawing, pulling, trying to drag me down. I could feel my soul teetering, caught between two infinities. I remembered every lie I had told myself, every moment I had chosen vanity over value, every second spent chasing fleeting pleasure. I wanted to escape. I wanted salvation. I wanted to live, but not just in this body. I wanted to exist beyond the fame, beyond the lies, beyond the fleeting applause. The light pulsed, steady and commanding. It was not judgment, not yet. It was opportunity. It was truth. It whispered in a language I did not know yet understood. A message without words. Turn, do not linger in the shadows. There is a way out, but only if you choose it. The darkness screamed. It clawed. I felt myself slipping. My heart stuttered. My chest ached. Every breath a night. I felt the pull of nothingness, the finality of death, and I panicked. Then, I reached, not with my hands, but with my soul. I reached for the light, and it embraced me. In an instant, I was no longer in the penthouse. I was floating, weightless, untethered. The city below, the bottles, the shattered glass, irrelevant. I was somewhere else, somewhere terrifying and beautiful. I could see my life stretched out before me, every choice, every moment, every fleeting thrill, and understand it all at once. And then I heard a voice, gentle but piercing, echoing through the void. A single truth that cut through the panic, through the fear, through the death that had me by the throat. Not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven, but the one who does the will of my Father. It was not a question, not a suggestion. It was reality. I understood. This was my one chance to return, one chance to be saved, one chance to leave the shadows behind. And as I floated, suspended between eternity and oblivion, I knew I had to choose. I floated. I was no longer in my body, yet every memory, every thought, every heartbeat lingered in my soul. The city below, the bottles, the shattered glass, all irrelevant. I felt neither pain nor weight, only a strange, unending pull towards something I could not name. Then I saw it, a figure, larger than any human, radiant, beyond comprehension, wings stretched into infinity, each feather glowing with a light I had no words for. The angel's gaze found me. I could not look away. It was not judgmental. It was not angry. It was true, unavoidable, exposing everything I had hidden from myself, every lie I had told, every fleeting pleasure I had chased, every night of excess. It was all reflected back at me in that gaze. My heart, or what I thought of as my heart, sank. The angel extended a hand, and reality fractured. I glimpsed hell first. Flames without end, black smoke, twisting like serpents, screams that pierced my mind without sound, faces contorted in unimaginable pain. A heat that was not just physical, it burned through my soul into the very essence of my being. The darkness moved, alive, hungry, as though it were trying to reach for me. I realized, with a terror that froze me, how close I had been to this place. One more night, like the others, one more reckless choice, and I could have been here. I saw my life projected onto the chaos, The parties, the cameras, the women, the champagne, every indulgence flashing before me, meaningless, shallow. The fame, the applause, the sold-out arenas, none of it could save me. I felt the full weight of my mortality, and the terrifying reality of my soul's destiny. I had ignored the signs. I had lived as though I were immortal, and now, the consequences were laid bare. Then the vision shifted, light, a brilliance so pure it made my eyes ache, yet I felt no pain, only warmth, safety, and peace. Souls glowed, radiant and free, floating without fear or burden. I could hear music, not the music of any stage, but a melody that vibrated through my very bones, laughter without cruelty, joy without selfishness. And then I understood, this was heaven, the beauty, the calm, the love. It was everything I had sought in my life but never found. The angel spoke, not with words, but with a knowledge that penetrated every fiber of me. I understood instantly. Life is fleeting. Fame is meaningless. Pleasure is hollow. Only God saves. Only surrender heals. Only truth matters. My soul shuddered as the truth settled in. I had no time to bargain, no time to plan, only this instant to understand who I was and what awaited me if I did not change. The visions alternated, hell then heaven, pain, then love, fear then hope. The angel guided me through them both, allowing me to feel the intensity of each, yet never touching me directly. I saw choices I had ignored, doors I had slammed shut in arrogance, moments when I had chosen selfishness over truth. Every sin, every fleeting pleasure, every hollow smile, I saw it all, and I understood. Salvation was not automatic. It was earned through surrender, through recognition, through change. My soul trembled. I wanted to escape, to wake, to return to the comfort of ignorance, but I could not. I was tethered to the vision, forced to confront the reality I had ignored. The angel's presence was steady, unwavering, and yet compassionate. I realized I had been given a chance to return, a chance to choose differently, and I had only this moment to accept it. Then the pull of my body came back. I felt weight, cold and real, pressing into my chest. The penthouse around me returned, the marble tiles, the broken glass, the faint smell of alcohol and perfume. The city noise seeped in, distant horns, a dog barking, muffled music, and then a frantic human voice. "Sir, sir, wake up." I gasped, a wet, ragged sound, coughing as my lungs worked again. The maid was on top of me, hands pressing hard into my chest, face pale and desperate. She screamed into the phone, calling 911 as she pumped my chest. The pain was sharp, the pressure unrelenting, yet I clung to life, every nerve alive. My body shook, sweat mingling with blood from a scraped hand. I felt air rush into my lungs. I felt my heartbeat return. I saw her eyes wide and terrified and suddenly realized I was alive. I had been given a second chance. The angel, the visions, the horror of hell, the beauty of heaven, they were not dreams, they were real. I had glimpsed eternity, and it had shaken me to my core. As I lay on the floor trembling, tasting alcohol, fear and blood, I understood the truth in every cell of my being. Heaven is real, hell is real, and my life, my choices, everything I had thought mattered, paled in comparison to the fate of my soul. I had been given a warning, a chance that I did not deserve, yet it had been granted anyway. And in that moment, alone and alive, I knew that nothing would ever be the same again. I woke to the sound of sirens, muffled through the walls of my penthouse, sunlight stabbing through the blinds. My chest ached, ribs sore from the maid's desperate hands, my body trembling in ways I could not control. Sweat clung to my skin, mixed with the sticky remnants of last night's excesses. I felt alive and terrified. I tried to sit up, but dizziness hit me like a freight train. Every muscle screamed in protest. My head throbbed, the taste of alcohol and blood still bitter on my tongue. I stared at the ceiling, my mind replaying the visions, the angel, hell, the light, the warmth, the screams, the laughter. Every image burned into me with clarity I could not escape. I could not think about fame. I could not think about parties, cameras, applause. Everything that had driven me for years felt hollow, empty, meaningless. The truth was laid bare. I had been running from something real, something eternal, and almost paid the ultimate price. I remembered the angel's eyes, the way it had exposed my soul, not with condemnation but with the force of truth. I could feel the weight of heaven and the terror of hell, pressing into me at once, and a voice, silent, yet absolute, telling me that life is fleeting, that only surrender and truth save the soul. I sat on the floor, legs trembling, staring at my hands, hands that had held champagne, held flings, held fleeting pleasures that meant nothing. What could I do now? How could I live differently when everything I had built was based on illusions? Tears came unexpectedly, not just from fear, but from recognition of the emptiness, the wasted nights, the lies I had told myself. For the first time in years I felt raw, stripped of pretense. I whispered a prayer I had never known I knew. God, help me, save me, make me real. The sirens faded, the EMTs arrived, but I was already coherent enough to be released once examined. Alone again, I lay back on the penthouse couch, staring at the skyline. The city was alive, indifferent, the same as it had always been, yet I could not return to indifference. I understood that my life had a second chance embedded in it, a chance I had not earned, but one I could honor if I chose. I made a vow to myself. The next moment, the next choice, the next breath would not be wasted chasing shadows. I would seek truth, not applause, substance, not indulgence, God, not fame. The angel's message and the visions of hell and heaven had become my compass. I would follow it, no matter the cost. I closed my eyes, feeling the city hum below me, and whispered again, I will not waste this life. I will not ignore eternity again. And in that quiet, trembling moment, I felt the first stirrings of real change. Something in me had shifted, something had been saved. I woke the next morning and felt it, an emptiness, yes, but also a strange clarity. The city below glittered like always, oblivious, but I could not return to oblivion. My penthouse, my bottles, my parties, all of it felt like a dream I had almost died inside. I could not continue as before. The first step was simple, yet it felt monumental. No more alcohol, no more meaningless nights, no more chasing validation from strangers. I poured the remaining bottles down the drain, listening as the liquid poured away, imagining my old life leaving with. I felt lighter, though still raw, trembling, aware of how close I had come to hell. I changed my mornings first. Instead of waking to the glare of my phone, I opened the blinds, watched the sun rise, and sat in silence. For the first time in years, I listened to the city, to myself, to the quiet of my own heart. I prayed, not as a ritual but as a plea, not for fame, not for pleasure, not for recognition, but for guidance, strength, and the ability to stay awake to what mattered. I rearranged my life. My schedule no longer revolved around appearances or parties. I began to read, to reflect, to write. I focused on music again, but not for the charts, not for Instagram likes, not for applause. I wrote songs that mattered to my soul, songs that could reach others who were lost, as I had been. Each note, each lyric, a reminder that life was fragile, that eternity was real, and that I had been given a second chance. I avoided the clubs that once defined me. I skipped the late-night dinners with the people who only wanted me for my Instead, I filled my days with purpose, even in small ways. Quiet walks, moments of reflection, honest music, prayer, and reading scriptures I had ignored all my life. Matthew 7:21 echoed in my mind constantly. Not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven, but the one who does the will of my Father. Every choice I made became intentional, a step away from the darkness I had seen and toward the light I had glimpsed. I could not undo the past. I could not erase the reckless nights, the flings, the excess, the near-death moments that had nearly ended me, but I could live differently. I could let each breath, each decision, each song be a testament to what I had learned. I could make my life matter, not in fame, not in applause, not in Instagram hearts, but in truth. Some nights, I still remember the heat of hell, the screams, the weight of eternity pressing in on me. It haunts me, yes, but it also drives me. It reminds me why I must live differently. And some nights, I remember the light, the warmth, the hope, and I pray that others, if they are paying attention, will take their own chances seriously before it is too late. I am not the man I was. I am not perfect. I am still Michael, but I am and I will never close my eyes again to the truth I have seen. I sit now in my penthouse, the city stretching endlessly below, alive and indifferent. I see the lights, the cars, the people chasing their own illusions, and I remember the fire, the screams, the shadows that reached for me, the warmth of the light that almost pulled me into safety. I remember hell. I remember heaven. It is real, not a metaphor, not a story to scare children. Real, flames that devour yet never end, souls trapped in endless torment, screams without sound, agony without relief, and heaven, light beyond comprehension, peace without fear, love without condition. Both exist, both ways, and the choice, my choice, is terrifyingly clear. I almost lost everything, not money, not fame, not friends, not my body, my soul. That is what matters, that is what eternity demands. Everything else is temporary, fleeting, meaning. I drank it all in for years, champagne, applause, attention, fleeting pleasure, and it almost killed me, not once, but for eternity. I cannot undo the past. I cannot change the reckless nights, the lies I told myself, the hollow smiles I offered the world, but I can live differently. Every day I wake, I remember the angel's wings, the visions of heaven and hell, the way the choice was laid bare before me, and I choose. Every breath, every step, every song, every word. I choose life, I choose truth, I choose. If you are listening to this, if you are watching, I beg you, consider your own life, consider your choices. Fame, pleasure, wealth, power, they will not save you, they will not prepare you for eternity. Only truth, only surrender, only faith in God. Matthew 7:21 haunts me now. Not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven, but the one who does the will of my Father will enter. Do not wait for a near death to wake you. Do not wait for fire to lick at your soul before you understand what matters. Every moment is precious. Every choice has weight. Every indulgence, every lie, every shortcut you chase, it has consequences you cannot see. I live now differently, not perfectly, not without struggle, but awake. My songs, my music, my words, they are no longer empty. They are my testimony, a warning, a plea. I have been given a second chance that I did not deserve, and I will use it to speak the truth I saw with my own eyes. I survived, I am alive, but I carry what I witnessed like a brand on my soul. I will never forget, and I will never allow myself or anyone else to forget. I ask you now, silently or aloud, with every ounce of my being, if you died today, where would your soul go? Do not let it take you by surprise. Choose wisely, choose God. The choice is yours. And remember, hell is real, heaven is real, and eternity is waiting. I survived, but what I saw, what I felt, will never leave me. Hell is real, heaven is real, and I came back to tell you, your choices matter. Every lie, every fleeting pleasure, every night you ignore the truth, it counts. I ask you now, if death came tonight, would you be ready? Or would you, like me, face something you cannot escape? I want to know, what would you do if you saw eternity with your own eyes? Leave your answer below, if you dare.